All right, you are tuned in to the Teacher Says podcast. Hello, I am Teacher Says, and I don't have all the answers. Now, before you press the stop button, hear me out. We will spend the next year exploring how to break the cycle, create generational wealth, create the home you desire, and of course, live our best lives. The catch. These are the end goals, and we'll do it together since we're working on obtaining the stuff already. So keep it locked right here to the Teacher Says podcast. All right, we are here. We are back, and we are waiting for you. It is so good that you have lent me your eardrums for the next, who knows, could be 10, could be 20, probably not longer than 30 minutes. I, of course, am Sess of the Teacher Says podcast, and I would really appreciate right now that you pause, or if you're like me, multitask, and rate the show, subscribe to the show. Nice comments would be lovely. So that way we could be discovered on Apple Podcasts and all of the other podcatchers, and maybe even be in the top 100 or top 20 or top 1,000. Yeah. But at any rate, I really am glad that you are here. You are dedicating yourself to exploring with me on how we can get out of debt, retire early, become multimillionaire. Who knows what we can do, but we can do it together. So let's get right into it. All right, about 2 weeks ago or so, I was listening to one of my favorite financial gurus, Mr. Ian Dunlap, and Ian had me thinking. Like, he had a list of questions, and they were all really good. But one of the questions that he had asked was, when you're vetting your financial advisors or whoever you're using for your finances, are you asking them questions like, are you out of debt? Do they invest? And it really had me thinking, like, I don't ask that. And I really wouldn't want anyone advising me who wasn't somebody I would use as a mentor. So I was thinking to myself, because as an educator, this is one of my biggest pet peeves. It's like, we always have people before pre-COVID who would come at least maybe once a month, twice a month, once every 2 months maybe, and bribe us with pizza and want us to sign up for this program or that program for our finances. But they really play on our ignorance as educators. Like, even recently, like, I hate saying like a lot, but even recently, there was a question posed about our credit union that is endorsed by our school district. And what has always rubbed me the wrong way is the way our summer pay works is you can opt to have some of your bi-weekly pay taken out, put into summer account. Cool, sounds good. But here's the catch. When you do that with the credit union that is endorsed by our school district, they will penalize you if you withdraw the money early. And when I say penalize, you're being penalized with your own money. And it's like $20 or so. And I remember last year, this is how I feel like my eyes have been opened. Someone had pointed this out on a message board that's just for employees. And everybody's like, oh, that's too bad. Anyway, but the credit union, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, at the time, I didn't really think anything, because I was just so used to having everything done through the credit union. But finally, my eyes opened about a year ago, and I'm like, not only is the credit union penalizing you and charging you your own money if you need to take it out for an emergency before June, but the interest rate sucks. Like, I don't even remember what it was, but it was super low. And so I went online, I discovered Ally, the bank Ally, and I went and started getting my money deposited to Ally, which had a more favorable interest rate. Like, I want to say it's, I don't remember. I don't want to give false information, but it was higher. And, just like I said, when I was looking at the message board, which mentioned all the troubles that people have been having with the credit union. Nobody really wanted to pull their money out. Like one or two people, myself included, gave the information about, well, why don't you just do a direct deposit to, a high interest savings account, and you won't be penalized if you need to take the money out. And, it was kind of like, oh, okay, well, anyway, the credit union. So it's kind of like you can't really wake up those who don't want to be awoken. Not to say, like I say always at the start of the show, I don't have all the answers. And even when someone pointed that out last year, it was one of those things that kind of, made note. But I'm like, but the credit union, I've been dealing with them so long. They're so much easier. It's really not easier because, to set up an account to do the same thing with an online banking system. I can always speak on Ally because that's the only one I've used. Was easy, didn't take a lot of time, and I'm not being penalized for taking my own money out if I need to, in addition to having a higher interest rate every month for my money that I keep in there. So I don't know, it's just something to think about, why I keep realizing how much teachers are taking advantage of financially because, they expect us to teach and smile and help the kids and all that good stuff. But when it comes to finances, it's like, don't ask any questions, go teach the children. It's like, I don't know if it's because educators are primarily women, or if they just expect us to be smiley, happy, cute people, and who shouldn't make waves and ask questions about their finances. That's one thing that really irritates me. It's like, just teach, don't worry about the rest. And it's like, but I am worried about the rest, and you're not going to overtalk me as a financial person at my school who I don't even know who you are. You haven't even come to me recommended by anyone. But yeah, you're giving me free Papa John's to sit down with me and explain this and that. And a lot of times you really don't explain it too well, and there's that. So I don't know, a random weird thought of mine, but going back to, the point of Mr. Ian Dunlap's mentioning of, are you really vetting your financial advisors? At least for me, the answer is no. I'm glad it was something that never really crossed my mind, but something that I need to be doing because, like I said, if your goals aren't the same as my goals, why in the hell are you taking my money and advising me to do A, B, and C? Like, even now that I understand how some of this works, and like I keep saying, when I think about the knowledge of, like, financial fiduciaries and finance people, etc., I feel like I have a surface level of everything. Like, I just know a teeny tiny bit, And they're like, why do you even have a podcast? Because I never said I knew it all, sucker. Which is true. I never said. I say I know a little. So the point of that is, going back to what I was saying regarding the finances and stuff. Oh my God, I lost my train of thought. But going back to the point, of taking advantage of teachers, they're telling us to invest in, what is it, a 403B. 403Bs, from my research, suck. A lot of people are like, they're trash. And then invest in the IRA. So you invest in the IRA. I invest in the IRA, yay! I don't even know what, well, now I know. But when I invested in the IRA the first time, and what year was that? Probably the very, very first time, let's get technical, 2004, I had no idea what I was doing. What am I investing in? I just made sure I had money to retire. So fast forward to 2010, when I did it again, I had a better idea that the money's going to help me from retirement. But what exactly am I doing again? All right, 10 years later, now, 2021, okay, I get it. I'm investing in, like, mutual funds. What's that? It's like a list of stocks a group of stocks, and you watch if they're up and down. The group goes up and down. It's a safer gamble, and I know gamble's not a good word, than doing single stocks, etc. So at least now I have a surface level knowledge of what all that is, other than just investing. But it does take some work, and I guess there's no guess. I can thank Mr. Pandemic for that because, before the pandemic, I really didn't know much other than, I know it's good to invest for retirement. Now I know, like, the particulars. And, that's your self-education. You got to educate yourself because nobody's going to hold your hand and explain all this stuff to you. I don't know. That's my rant for fellow educators in regards to what you want to do. So much that goes on the shoulders of their educators, but very few outlets, places talk about, teacher finances for you, for your career, getting into detail about it, especially if you want to retire early, hint, hint, like which is me. So yeah, there's that. All right, moving on. All right, so I'm back and I want to get into my love-hate relationship with Clubhouse, which is the newest app. It's kind of like, how do I explain Clubhouse? Like podcasting live. There are so many people on Clubhouse who really know what they're talking about and so many perpetrators. And then there are people who just like to hear their own voice. Like, full disclosure, even though I have a podcast, I really don't care to hear my own voice a lot. It's not me. I don't know it all. I'm just like, literally sound like me. And I remember this one, what do you call those rooms? Yeah, room I was in. And my number one pet peeve is when somebody doesn't know what they're talking about and all they do is just kind of like, no, how do I say this tactfully? Like, they just keep beating a dead horse and bringing up people into the room who are like co-signing what they're saying when they don't know what they're talking about in the first place. Like, I remember I was in this one room and I forgot we were talking about like life experiences or anything. And this woman was just rambling, kind of like I do at times. But then just when you think her ramble's over, she like passed the mic to her sister. And her sister just like co-signs her ramble. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Stay on topic. So that's kind of like a real huge pet peeve of mine. And then there are also really good rooms in Clubhouse. Like, full disclosure, I don't know if I mentioned on the show before. I don't know. But I'm like a huge true crime fan of the genre, period. I don't know if I ever mentioned it. It's goals one day when I'm retired to have like a true crime podcast. I think I do a good job. I just don't do it now because it requires, the way I would want to do it requires a lot of research, and I don't want to do like a half-ass show. Just don't. So there is a lovely young lady who, in fact, I'll give her a shout out. I can't think of her name, but she's the host of Crime Noir. So please take a moment to listen to Crime Noir. And maybe I could have her on the show eventually just to talk about true crime. Like have a bonus show. That would be fun. I think about it. But anyway, the point is she hosts a true crime room every Tuesday, and I love it. It's like, I love the fact that everybody in the room seems to know what they're talking about, and we dissect cases, and I'm such a nerd when it comes to that. Like, I love rooms where people, like all parties involved, really know what they're talking about. And, I kind of get my rocks off, like, wow, this person knows more than me about this particular case, blah, blah, blah. So things like that, cool. And then there are many rooms where I'm just a listener. Like, if you're getting into advanced finances and, I know some of the names in there and I trust that they know what they're talking about, I would do a disservice going up and stating whatever I need to state. Like, let me just shut up and listen, right? And then there's smaller rooms where, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to go in. Like, even though this is probably going to be the 5th week in a row I never mentioned this name, like rooms where people are dissecting Dave Ramsey. Like, let me be quiet because I can really go in, but then, like I'm saying, when it comes to the correlation between people who know way more about finances than him, let me just shut up. Because when it comes to Dave Ramsey, I'm more dissecting his character than saying like he knows more about finance. No, I know more about finances than him. That's not me. Can't even claim that. He is the guru when it comes to that. I just think he's a shady character. So I go right on him. First character. So I say that to say, Clubhouse, I have a love-hate relationship with you. I have to be in the mood to deal with Clubhouse as well. There's some times where I'm like just scrolling through and I'm like, this is not a good time to bother myself with Clubhouse. And then there's times where, like I mentioned last week about being a time waster. Like I remember I went into a room with Cheryl Lee Ralph. And I loved it. She was talking about, if you're not familiar who Cheryl Lee Ralph is, she's an actress who's been around for a very long period of time. She was one of the original stars of the hit Broadway play, Dreamgirls. It's not like a promotion, but it's true. And so when I saw her room, I'm like, let me just listen in to see what they're talking about. Totally thinking I'd be out in like 2 minutes. Go in. What you guys up to? All right, bye. I was in that sucker for like an hour. Like, she can hold someone's attention, talking about the behind the scenes of Dreamgirls and how they started, and and plus, I like Dreamgirls. Full disclosure. I mean, the play, not really the movie. Right, the play was awesome. I saw it as I wasn't a kid, but probably like 13, 14. Of course, it wasn't the original cast. I'm not that old, but the touring company that came to Washington, D.C. in the 90s. So, it held my attention. I think she's a dynamic speaker. She gave a lot of behind the scenes tidbits. So, I never felt like I was wasting my time, which is kind of like what I mentioned last week about watching Fatale or whatever movie that was. It was so horrible. I kept thinking to myself, I'm wasting my time. Watching or listening to the behind the scenes of the origin of the hit Broadway play, Dreamgirls, was interesting, kept my attention. I listened to it probably until they started wrapping up, and I knew I caught it maybe at the beginning, so it was a good hour or so. So, like I said, I say that to say Clubhouse has a lot of pluses and a lot of negatives, too, because I see them roll with all the hip-hop people, and, I hate to say, I sound old, the hip-hop people, but, the people who I'm just like, they have their what do you call those girls, I'm getting so old, groupies, and it's the pick-me girls, and I'm like, man, I don't want to hear that, I go in just to see what they're saying and leave, this ain't. So, I don't know what the future of Clubhouse holds. I'm kind of on the fence. Once they open it up to the world, I don't know how I feel about it, because I'm like, they have this many people who are kind of annoying me as invite only. I can only imagine the amount of people who will get under my skin and annoy me when anybody can get into Clubhouse. So there's that. All right. Lastly, I want to point out on Instagram something that I have discovered that is a free source, because I'm back to giving out my little free tidbits that I really appreciate, which is fitness pages on Instagram where influencers actually do whole fitness classes for free. I want to give a shout out to Reggie Fitness, and now that I think about it, I don't know if that's the name of his studio. I'm going to look it up. But Reggie Fitness out of Houston, Texas. I faithfully watch his fitness program live on Instagram every, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday morning. And I'm so thankful that it's free. He actually has a very good program. It's free. I cannot mention enough. His name is called Reggie Fitness. Okay. And good music I like, I should say. Not everybody will like the music. And it's very motivating. I find myself online every Monday. He inspired me to figure out how to get my Instagram to work on my TV. So that's a good look, because usually I wouldn't care about that. I only did it before when COVID, of course, during COVID, when Versus became a thing on Instagram, and I'm like, I want to watch this battle, if that's what you call it, on my TV. Let me figure out how to do that. And I figured it out. So, like I said, now I've taken that technological usage to other good deeds, I guess you could say, and using it for exercising. Now, I mentioned a personalized shout out to Reggie Fitness because I really like them, but I know that he's not the only one. I see, who else? The older I get, the more I'm terrible at names, but Macy, that's her name. She's really good. She has fitness classes, and I know that they use it as a promotion to Macy Arenas to, buy their product and all that, and there will become a day that I might actually do that. But in the meantime, I appreciate their free products, and I know they have YouTube videos as well. Some of the groups do, and that's all to the good. But I just want to shout out to those free influencers who get my butt up and motivated to exercise on Instagram. So there is that. So this is a good point. Time for us to wrap up for the week. As I requested at the top of the show, it would be lovely if you like, rate, subscribe. You can check me out on all my social media platforms. I'm definitely most active, I would say, in Facebook. Not so much active in Instagram. I've decided to pick and choose where you'll see me the most, being that I once again, haven't gone on this tangent in a while, but run a one-woman operation in addition to working full-time and raising children. So I don't like feeling attached at the hip to my phone. So that explains why you really only see me, occasionally. I'm not really active on Instagram. Don't really care for Twitter. I've been on Twitter for years and never really got into it. And Facebook is probably my bag. That's the one I like the most. Doubt I'll ever get on TikTok. It seems like too much effort. I don't have time for all that. So just, I don't know, I think about it. Maybe I can get on TikTok just to look at other people, not actually TikTok. Never thought about that. But that's a thought. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's going on with me regarding my social media platform. So hopefully, God willing, we'll see each other again next week. Salon.